This is Greentech Media's 5 Questions, the 2014 Solar Summit edition. I'm Stephen Lacey, Senior Editor with Greentech Media, and we're here in Phoenix, Arizona, talking to industry executives about what they see happening in their area of the solar market. I'm here with Chase Weir, the CEO of Distributed Sun. Chase, good to see you again. How are you?
Good, Stephen. Thank you.
So we talked last year about the developments with the truSolar initiative. What's been happening over the last year? I mean, you had a lot of new developments. What are some of the biggest milestones that you've had?
Sure. One of our most recent successes is here at Greentech Media's annual Solar Summit in Phoenix. We were delighted yesterday to see such an overfilled room and have an opportunity to engage with a big crowd about truSolar and what truSolar means to the industry. We had working group members, DuPont, Underwriters Laboratory, PricewaterhouseCoopers, talking about our development since last year, and then had an opportunity to bring up buyers and sellers of assets, Hannon Armstrong and Renewable Energy Trust, and have about 90 minutes of very engaging Q&A with some 200 folks in your pre-conference seminar. Since we spoke last year, at that time we were in the alpha phase. For us, alpha meant identifying all those risks that impact finance, investment, ownership of a non-residential solar asset, and everything that implicates generating a kilowatt hour or a dollar of cash flow. We completed that phase. We identified several hundred unique risk elements, several thousand dependencies, and now we're in what we call beta. We're testing the risk screen, the criteria, against some 14 unique projects, different project types, as we stress test that screen and make sure the depth and the breadth and the usability and the reliability of the screen is at a point that it's ready to be turned over to a standards body in the second half of this year. So behind the scenes, a lot of work's been going on, and we've made a lot of progress.
So through those standards, you want to make solar a $1 trillion asset class. How close are we to putting in place the pieces that need to make that happen?
I have some confidence by this time next year, truSolar will have a sample of having run at least 1,000 screens, if not 2,000 or 3,000. And at that point, I think we'll have done our work well of improving operational and marketplace efficiencies that help us get to that $1 trillion of operating assets.
All right, so those efficiencies, quantify for us what they actually do for soft costs, for capital costs, for closing costs. What does that mean for an actual project?
In our worldview, I see 4 corners. I see soft costs, I see capital cost, I see project liquidity, availability of projects to invest in, and access to capital. truSolar impacts all of those, but it really very clearly impacts 2 of those. And one of the easiest ways to understand it is this aha moment we had a couple of years ago when we realized that every project that we invested in, we were paying for all those projects that we had worked on but not done. We were paying for all those projects that all of our counterparties, whether it be sponsor equity or tax equity or debt or another developer or an integrator, everything that they had worked on but not successfully delivered into operations was pricing up successful deals. We call that hidden costs. And frankly, folks have done a lot of analysis around indirect and direct costs, but not about hidden costs. And so we now know, and we've done some analysis, it's only our opinion, but we believe that if all the counterparties to a deal are using truSolar, they're going to save as much as 7 cents a watt on that deal. In today's terms, in 2014, in the commercial segment, assets that are forecast by Greentech Media to be placed in service, that's $115 million going down the drain just on what's being placed in service when you add in all those development assets that want to be an operating asset. And we forecast that by our own experience as 3 to 4 to 1 in the pipeline. That's $200 million of costs going down the drain this year, as much as $600 million by 2018. So we know that truSolar has a big reward for the marketplace when adopted on soft costs. And we also know if you identify fatal flaws sooner in the process, sometimes you can fix them, sometimes you can't. But if you identify them very early on, what you're doing is you're addressing conversion ratios, and folks are focusing more on the projects that can get done and less time on the projects that can't get done.
So you've got a new offering that you announced at the summit this year, Be Edison. How does that relate to truSolar?
The easiest way to explain it is when you do your taxes, you probably don't refer to 2,000 pages of the Internal Revenue Code. You probably use something like TurboTax. Edison is taking the taxonomy of solar risk, truSolar, which needs to have an applied business practice. It needs to have a technology. It needs to have a cloud. It needs to have a way to be used. So we're proud to be the first platform to deliver truSolar to the marketplace, but we also look forward over the next couple of years to other platforms, other providers, integrating truSolar and also delivering that to the market.
So recently, Jigar Shah, who's a well-known investor and entrepreneur in this space, said that the age of low-cost capital is here. Do you agree with that?
I think the important point to understand is that as we exit the private markets and enter the public capital markets, we're talking about 6 and 7 and lower. And the only way to get from here to there is through information management systems, automation, tools that allow you to screen and score and select projects very efficiently. And the way to understand this is the public capital markets require a ratings. And so a big infrastructure project, a big utility project, can afford a ratings team. As you get into smaller and smaller transactions, $5 and $10 and $20 million deals in commercial, they either can't afford a ratings team or a ratings team prices up the deal so much to make it unattractive. It's only through tools like truSolar that you can take these smaller deals in the commercial segment and deliver them into $50, $100, $200 million tranches into securitization and unlock, frankly, the segment that has the most growth potential and the most friction today, which is commercial.
We're looking at some exciting stuff on the financial side of the industry.
Absolutely.